Hey guys, um, so I thought this might be interesting, and it's probably not interesting to anybody but me. But I'm about to try to do the Battle Box unboxing because I want to try to keep doing videos. But I had put a little post up that I'm sick again because this is when you have chronic respiratory stuff. Something as simple as like a cold can turn into something. I don't want to say major. It's not going to kill me. It's not like that, but it becomes very difficult for your body to just shake off like a cold, and it becomes a bigger kind of thing to deal with. And um, we talk about about VA stuff. The two biggest slices of my VA disability are my busted up lungs from we say burn pit to make it easy, but it's actually, excuse me, it's actually what do they call it? Airborne inhaled toxin exposure, because they don't know what's in this thing. They don't know what it is, but it's a whole lot of guys that have served in Iraq and Afghanistan, and especially folks that have been in both. There's a lot of stuff that was in the air. Yes, KBR, Kellogg Brown Root, the contractors who had the contract to clean up and do the services all over the place, they ended up just scooping a bunch of stuff up and burning it. That includes trash, that includes bodies, that includes military equipment, that includes everything. And nobody gave any forethought to what would happen when we were living in and among the fumes, and the stuff would come down like black ash snow all over us. And the other thing that they're really researching into now, or at least they're just telling us about, is the effects of depleted uranium. Depleted uranium rounds that we used like candy all over the place. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm in favor of depleted uranium. It is the number one best way to defeat any kind of armor on the battlefield. It's an essential tool. But when we invented depleted uranium rounds, whether it's for a 120 millimeter, 105 millimeter main gun on a tank or an armored vehicle, or 30 millimeter rounds on an A-10, or anything in between, it was in the midst of the Cold War, where we thought we were going to have to fight the big bad Soviet army in a running war in Eastern Europe, never really considering what's going to happen when our guys, if our guys, were going to have to remain in the area for 20 years, breathing the. So when depleted uranium hits armor, it basically is I can't think of the name. It's pyrorific. I made that up. I don't know. Pyrophoric. It bursts into flames. It hits and it penetrates armor like nobody's business, but it bursts into flames and it creates almost, don't take this literally, but it creates its own little bit of like almost fallout. Depleted uranium is not radioactive. You can touch it when it's in solid form. You can handle it. But when it goes, it creates, dust and everything. That is a low-grade alpha particle emitter. And your skin and clothing can protect you from alpha particles. But if it gets in your body, it will shred you to shreds. It gets in you by you inhaling it, by it being on your hands, and you put it on food and you eat it. Stuff like that. Iraq especially, but Afghanistan also, is full of depleted uranium dust and stuff. And so when troops, when anybody, climbs up on a burnt out tank to check it out, make sure to see what's in it, or a vehicle, or these guys, KBR, pick up a vehicle on a front end loader and move it around, all that dust gets in the air. Anyway, they don't, and then, whatever else. They don't, so my point is, there's been a lot of respiratory stuff. And they kind of say it's, the mysterious respiratory infections and lung ailments is the new Agent Orange, is what they say. There was, Agent Orange in Vietnam. There's Gulf War syndrome, which they have pretty much tracked to when we hit Iraq's weapons mass destruction caches in Desert Storm, but we didn't use a hot enough thermal type weapon to fully burn it all off, so we hit these bunkers, and then it got released in the air in like mist kind of quantities, so it wasn't enough to like make our guys have the effects, but it fell on them and all this stuff. Anyway, you can do the research on that. And then in this one we have all of the respiratory stuff, and I've been pretty open on the channel about health stuff as I go and everything. So anyway, that's the background. The point is, and if you've been around for a while, you know that I get sick. I get sick a lot, and it's cool, by the way. I want to make it clear, I never tell you guys I'm sick to like solicit donations or anything like that. The government takes real good care of me since the day I got out. TRICARE, which is like government insurance. So if you just get out of the military, you get insurance coverage for a couple months, and you get the VA. If you put in your full 20 years, and I had 21, you get what they call TRICARE for life, and it's actually pretty damn good insurance. I gotta say, it's you can go to civilian places, and and that's what I prefer to do, because I have. In Pennsylvania, we have St. Luke's and we have LVHN, and they're very good healthcare systems, great doctors. So I get money from the VA, obviously, and I get great care for where TRICARE is willing to pay for it in the civilian network, and then other stuff I go to the VA. So the government really does, except for a couple things where like we fight back and forth for authorizations for different things. They do take very good care. I mean, I'm amazed at how much money they spend on different things and different treatments that the doctors want to try. A lung cancer infusion is something like billed out at $19,000 every time you sit in the chair. It's ridiculous. And that's not chemo, that's biological, which is different than chemotherapy. It's a different kind of thing. I don't know if that makes it more expensive or less expensive. But anyway, not the point. I just wanted to kind of show you guys the fun. So, and this is not unique to me either. This is a million guys. There's a million guys and gals and llama-ettes and llama-loos and that have come back. And supposedly young, healthy people with, lung conditions that you should see in, 60-year-olds, 70-year-olds, COPD, people that never had asthma in their lives, lung cancers, chronic bronchitis. Like I get bronchitis like six, 7 times a year. Pneumonias over and over again, and it's just they can't say bam, this is it, but they can correlate that everybody suffering from these things have one thing in common, and it is deployments, usually multiple deployments to the Enduring Freedom Theater of Operations or the Iraqi Freedom Theater of Operations. So for this current adventure right now, and it's been going on a couple weeks, so my body sucks anyway. So my little daily routine right now, if you're interested, this is over the counter. This is just Motrin and Excedrin migraine, which I take just for body aches and fever. So you look at it and you might be like, oh my God, that's a lot. It's really not, because to anybody that spent any length of time in the service, 800 milligrams of Motrin is the solution to anything. You go whether you go to the TMC or the Flight Med Clinic or whatever it is. We call the TMC a Troop Medical Clinic. That's an Army thing. We call it Tylenol, Motrin, and crutches, because you go in, no matter what you have, you're leaving with one of those three things: Tylenol, Motrin, and crutches. But they have these giant white horse pills of 800 milligrams of Motrin that you get for anything. I have a headache. Here's 800 milligrams of Motrin. I have erectile dysfunction. 800 milligrams of Motrin. My leg has blown up. Here's 800 milligrams of Motrin. I am nothing but a head lying on a stretcher. Here's 800 milligrams of Motrin. Take it 4 times a day. And while this dose of Tylenol and Excedrin is just Tylenol and caffeine. That's all it is. The caffeine helps potentiate the pain killing property of the Tylenol, but so it really helps with the body aches and everything. And Tylenol is good for the fever. So I take this like 3 times a day just on my own. And I know there are safe doses listed on bottles. I'm not recommending or telling anybody to ever exceed that, but those are safe doses. You can take more than what's on that bottle and not die. Just saying. So then, this is my doctor. My PCM is great. He knows exactly what we do with this because he's used to it. So then these little guys, which you're not even going to be able to see, I just dropped one. These are called prednisone. They are a corticosteroid. So the steroid, from what I understand, because this is a little bit above my head, it actually turns off. It helps reduce the body's inflammatory. It helps the body heal up. It stops your body reacting so much to everything. It gives your I don't know if it turns your immune system off a little bit, or I don't know what it does. I gotta be honest. I should look at it. I don't know, but I know that he hits me up with like a jumbo dose of it at first, and then weans you down. You should always wean down off of steroids. It's not the same steroids that like jocks put in their muscles. It's a totally different kind of steroid. It's not like that. Inhalers that asthmatics take are also steroids. Anabolic steroids are the bad ones. Corticosteroids help you with a lot of stuff. So we got, and so it's 4 now. And over time, you take less and less and less until you take 0. Because your body will like freak out if you just suddenly take none. So you start taking them all, and then it's like a step down. We have amoxicillin, which is an antibiotic. So what always happens is, you ever want to take more antibiotics than you have to, because that's how you generate antibiotic resistant things. Like superbugs that antibiotics can't heal because they mutate and get. But my doctor will give me the prescription right up front, and he'll tell me, don't fill this for a week. If you're still like this in a week, go get it filled and start taking it per orders. Because the assumption is it's viral first, unless you have, they could do blood tests. They could do other tests. They could shove a thing up your nose, and they could find out if it's bacterial. Bacterial and viral infections are different, but usually a cold is a viral thing. Most times you get a viral thing. You can't do much for a virus, though. You can't. There are antivirals, but an antibiotic, a bacterial infection, you can kill with antibiotics. But the idea is to not do the antibiotics unless you have to. So, but he gives me and again, we've done this how many times now? So he gives me the antibiotic prescription just in case I need it. And you want to know something? I always fill it anyway, just so I have. If the world ends tomorrow, I have antibiotics in the closet. Yeah, but I usually end up needing them because very often a viral infection is like a host for bacteria to come in. Once your immune system's down, bacteria can show up. This little blue guy is a decongestant. I've never seen it blue before. I've seen it before. This is the real Sudafed. This is the stuff that meth heads can turn into. Can use as an ingredient to make meth. This stuff that they used to just sell over the counter all the time. Now you need like 12 forms of ID, and that's because mucus. Its job is to trap bugs and germs and stuff. Like that's what it does to help try to keep it out of your airways and everything. But it also chokes you, and you don't want it hanging around in your air passages full of bacteria and viral organisms and all that stuff. So and you don't want it in your sinuses, because if you have it all in your sinuses with all those germs, you can end up with a sinus infection too. So the actual pseudoephedrine helps drain you. and you can spit it out. You can swallow it. You should probably spit it out. Sometimes you just want to take a drink and swallow it. My throat is like raw too. I also, what I don't have here are these little yellow balls called Tessalon pearls, and they're supposed to, for a cough suppressant, but I don't know where they are right now. Probably downstairs, but they're really cool. They're called Tessalon pearls. These little tiny yellow, they look like the tiniest little paintballs. They don't do, honestly, they don't do anything. I don't know why they keep giving them to me, and I tell the doctor, it's because I don't like to take anything narcotic related. And even Tessalon is like some kind of byproduct of codeine or something. They have a codeine cough syrup that you can take. And it's like the world's most disgusting. I don't care that it's disgusting. I don't like codeine. I don't like hydrocodone. I don't like any of that. I hate that. Because I already take so much other medication daily anyway. None of it is in that realm. But I don't like it. I just don't like feeling spacey and stupid. Speaking of spacey and stupid, then I've got this little guy. He's tiny. He's called Seroquel. And this is so that I can get some sleep. Because when I lay down, all the stuff, and anybody who's had like a bad bronchitis is probably familiar with the feeling that you lay down and all of a sudden you're coughing 10 times worse. And it's, so the Seroquel is just to sleep at night. So this is me, 5 or 6 times a year. And this is not just me. This is not just me. The reason I make this video is because it's not just me. This is a million guys and gals. 5, 6, maybe even more. There's probably a lot of people worse off than me. But this is what we go through. And, this is why. How did this all start? One of the kids brought a thing home from school. Because schools are vicious breeding grounds for junk and disgustingness. But this is why my family needs to be a little bit more careful with hand washing, and when somebody does have a cold or something, I kind of hide upstairs, and it's sad. It's like Bubble Boy type stuff, but this is what it is. And everybody paid a whole lot of attention to it for a while when Jon Stewart was on TV yelling at Congress to do your job. And now it's just sort of, things happen. New stories come up, but this is what a lot of folks go through all the time with the Airborne Hazard Registry. That's what it's called, the Airborne Hazard Registry. We got a lot of names on a list that the government collected. The government had us all sign up on a list so they could kind of track us, and that's just the people that got added to the list. There's probably way more that are not on the list. They're just not on the list. So, it sucks. It sucks, but any of you that have been watching this channel for a long time are familiar with this. Often I'll tell you guys, I'm down for a little bit because I got bronchitis, I got pneumonia, I got whatever, and I'll bounce back. I always bounce back because, my body essentially is good besides the broken parts. I have the one shoulder that we operated on 3 times from deployment-related crap. And then there's a handful of other small things. I think every single one of us ends up with tinnitus, and that's just what it is. A series of other small things, but the big ones for me, it's the PTSD and anxiety. That's a whopping 60 of my 100% right there. This stuff is 40%, 30% or 40%. I know that ends up to 100, but the VA doesn't do math like that. If you add up all of my ratings, technically they add up to like 160%, but that's not how they do for pay. It's a whole nother thing. You can technically be 100 by the numbers. You could be like 200% disabled, but you still get paid as 100%. There's the actual line by line for everything wrong with you, but the way they do the VA math, I'll have to do a video on the VA math. The VA math is crazy. So just for a quick example, when the first thing they diagnosed me with was my shoulder, which 30%. So that was 30%. And then now I'm getting paid 30% disability. that means that there's only 70% left. So if the next thing is 60%, they don't say, okay, now you're getting paid 90%. No, the next thing is 60% of the 70% that's left. Okay. And then the next thing, let's say, is 30%. So I don't know what 60% of 70 is. Let's just pretend it's 50%. Let's pretend it's there's 20% left over. I don't know. So now you have something else that's 30%. So you're not getting paid another 30%. You're getting paid 30% of the 20% that's left over. And like that's how you can have somebody that's like 200% numerically added up disabled, but you still only get 100% disability when it's all done. You can also have 0% disability. You can have something the military acknowledges is their fault. They like it's it's service related, but the military doesn't. The VA doesn't feel like they need to pay you for it, but they're still responsible to give you medical care related to that thing. So a lot of people have, if they have a 0% rating, it doesn't mean nothing's wrong with them. It means that the government, for that individual thing, I'm trying to think, I have something 0%, something with the scars on my shoulder are the scar. Like my shoulder is 30%, the scars are rated at 0%. So the government doesn't pay me for having scars, but they will treat me for having scars on my shoulder, if that's weird, if that makes sense. I don't know. It's stupid. All right, this is longer than I want it to be, but I'm going to work real hard to get videos back up. It's been about 2 weeks, week and a half, 2 weeks since I got all wussed out here. But I wanted to give you guys a little insight as to what's going on. I'm going to try to get this battle box done no later than this weekend. And then we got some other stuff. So I have a soda taste test video that we did right as I was starting to get real sick. So I'm going to try to edit that up. It's a cute video. Me, Giggles, and Ethan. Try to get that edited up and online. But anyway, take care, guys. Just remember, there's a whole lot of folks going through the same thing. Whole lot of veterans that are getting care they need and a whole lot more that aren't. It sucks. It really sucks. Really feel for the guys that a lot of guys just don't want to speak up. I don't know. Well, take care, guys. Remember, you are all absolutely awesome, and I appreciate every single one of you. And I'll be back again real soon.